Yeah, it's very compassionate, it's very kind, but that's what they want. Yeah. So if you have homeless people, don't give them healthy nuts. They have no teeth. How are they going to eat it? You know, they like chips and these kind of things, salty stuff. They don't like sweet things. And ask them if they want food. Don't just throw your leftover food at them. Think, oh, you're not grateful.
But should I give them what they want, the heroin?
Why not?
Okay.
Would you do it? Would you give them heroin?
Yeah.
Then? What's the question? And if I say, yes, do, would you then do it?
You say to give them what they want.
Yeah. But then also don't leave your wisdom at home, please. You know? None of us would give him heroin, but we do try to give him food. This is why this is why I took this example.
But give me please 10 shekels,
Yeah.
he says.
Yes.
Should I give him 10 shekels? Or
Yes.
You know that he will use it for
Yes.
heroin?
Oh, with 10 shekel you can't buy much heroin.
But he gathered that from 100 people and then he buy one.
Do you think you can stop his addiction by not giving him the 10 shekel?
This is not the cause.
Well, this is supposed. That's why you're saying. I say I don't want to participate into his addiction.
Yeah, I do that for myself.
Okay, listen. I was an alcoholic. I know how it feels to be an addict. If somebody, I was not in the street. I had enough money. I was very lucky. I was a kind of snobbish alcoholic. I only drank champagne at the end, but I was still very dependent. So I understand what it means to be hooked on something. So somebody telling me you have to stop, that doesn't help. Somebody being kind to me and understanding how difficult that is, that gives me a short moment of there's somebody there who understands what it means. Giving somebody 10 shekel, throwing it, no, don't. Looking at the person and thinking, wow, this could be me. This person did not want to end up like this. Just because of certain circumstances, that's how they ended up. And if they're young, I mean, I tell you, it breaks my heart if I see them. And it seems as if they can feel it from time to time, that I'm really, I know how they feel, and it's like, then we usually have quite a nice conversation. And I do give them money, yeah, but this is very personal. It's very personal. Because it's a good way of making contact with them. If you just give them nice words, it's almost a bit cruel. Whereas, yeah. But with the 10 shekel, he won't be able to buy heroin, I tell you. That's for sure. So, yeah. And then, of course, there's the big relief. You know, at one point I was in a bus station. In America, I use buses. I go by Greyhound, which is also, it's not the upper class that goes by Greyhound. There's also this homeless person who comes, and I was buying something to eat, and he comes next to me, and he says, I didn't understand. So, so I said, sorry, I didn't understand what you said. And he said, can you buy me a slice of pizza? So I said, well, of course. You know, this relief that we have, that we can give him something that I felt also. I can give him something that he wants it, and it's not harmful. I was so happy. So then I start talking to him, we go to the cashier, and then the woman says, oh, she heard what we were doing and saying. She said, oh, I'll pay for it. I said, no. I'm just here one day, so I'll pay for it. You can pay it tomorrow if you want. But it's like, it's kindness what they need. And then you need to make contact. And not judging, you know, this is the thing. But we don't want to see them. We kind of, but imagine if that would be your son. If that would be your son or your daughter, what would you do? Do you know parents who have addicted children? So difficult because they feel guilty as if they could have prevented it. They can't. They can't. And where does it come? Where is the addiction coming from? From not being happy, from being, you know, I drank because I was always full of fear and full of anger at both. And it made me more calm, the whole thing. It calmed it down. Yeah. So. Anyway, wanting others to be happy. And sometimes also in India, I would walk through the crowd of beggars and just thinking, may they be free from suffering, may they be happy, just that. And it is something, it is as if they feel it, that you really mean it, but you know, I can't do something with all these hundreds of bakers sometimes, and then they leave you alone also, you know. It is as if they can feel your vibes, but if you're afraid of them, that's it, they won the game. Because then you give them something that they leave you, so that they leave you alone. So they know that. You know, they're not stupid. So like this, it's a complicated issue. Again, it's the quality of the heart that counts here, not what you give. How you give it and why you give it. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. There also, I don't have a good answer to that question. If I would, again, I'd be world famous. Yeah. And I get approached quite a lot by these people because some of them have done some meditation. So, because also drugs and meditation and all this. So then, of course, they expect me to give them something. Or to be, at least, to be kind to them. So okay. So, this love is unconditional and requires a lot of courage and acceptance, including self-acceptance. Like, to be happy with whatever is. And this is, you see, we want to be happy, but we can only be happy when this is like this, and this is like this. When I have a partner, when I'm finally separated from my partner, when I have children, when finally the children grow up and I'm free again. You see these two extremes that I'm using? That the mind can go, the same mind can go, I'm so unhappy because I don't have a partner. A little bit later, the same mind goes, I'm so unhappy because I have a partner. And we totally believe that this is true. We totally believe it. We always blame others outside. Yeah. So if you have a good heart, an open heart, spacious heart, whatever situation is there is okay, and then you react out of this okayness and not out of the tightness and the narrowness of a mind that is disturbed and frustrated or stressed. This is what it is. Love is so relaxing. Okay. So the near enemy, something that looks like it but is not, or a quality which appears similar but is more an opposite, is conditional love, selfish love. I love you because you make me happy. If you don't make me happy anymore, sorry, then I don't love you anymore. That's business. So there's different kinds of happinesses that come from love, or what I'm talking about now is attachment. So attachment is a mind that through conditioning is like a filter and then falls in love. For me, you're a bit too young, but you're sitting in front. I'm sorry. For me, you're also maybe better. I fall in love with David, and where else is an elderly man? Boaz at the back there somewhere. Oh, you're there. You were there this morning. So, okay, Boaz. So, what makes it that I fall in love with David and not with Boaz? When we fall in love with somebody, what makes that? They both have one face, two arms, two legs, one body. They can talk, you know. So it's conditioning. Conditioning from the past, one would say. Or having made certain experience or whatever, and then something kind of wakes up. And then the problem about attachment is that you only see the good sides of that person. And then if somebody else comes and says, what, with this guy you fell in love, my gosh. And then me, the one who is attached, I'm trying to convince this other person that, but this is the best man that you could ever have, and he is mine. Yeah, like this. So this is attachment. Kind of just spontaneously, the person produces a good feeling in you. If you have that for everybody, then it's love, the connection. But if it's just exclusively for some, especially when you're younger, then that is attachment. Okay? And it's totally exaggerated, the whole thing. One exaggerates the good qualities and doesn't see the negative qualities. And then, of course, because you're attached to that person, you also want to make that person happy. But it has to be you who makes the person happy. and there if somebody else comes along who makes the person happier. So if it's love, you say, oh great, there is some other woman, I can see she makes him much happier, and you let the person go. That is love. And you see them having a really good relationship instead of you bickering all the time with each other. And then you're happy. That is love. All the other stuff is attachment. So we have mixed, So with us it's mixed. I think the purest love that we can have is towards the children, your own children, but it's mixed with my children, because it's not for all children. And it is good. Now please don't go home and think as a mother or a father or a granddad or a safta, you have to love all children. You cannot. You do have to make a choice. It's not that, you see, when we say we try to develop love for all beings and to make them happy, it's not everybody at the same time. Of course, then you're totally overwhelmed. It's that whoever comes in the front of whomever I come in contact with, they have a right to be happy, to give them the right to be happy. And if you can put some effort into making them happy, then it's fine. So you see the difference between love and attachment. You see, when your children tell you, oh, mommy, I hate you, it's not very pleasant. How many mothers have heard that already from their children? How many mothers who have children have never heard it from their children? Okay. Can you children talk? But do you take it do you see the possibility that it could happen that they could say it when they're very frustrated and they really wanted something and you're not giving it to them? Yeah. How many of you still suffer from that sentence, Mommy, I hate you? One, okay? What if your partner would say, I hate you? How many of you, now we're not having hands, okay? How many of you have said that to your partner or have heard it from your partner? And is that the same as when a child says it?
Sometimes yes, sometimes not.
When is it the same? It's a good observation.
When I feel love, when I feel
It's a very good observation. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it doesn't. With the children, it's kind of, it doesn't go in so deep with the children, I think.
If they are grown up, yes.
If they're grown up,
If
yeah.
they are 40 years.
But they're children, I'm talking about children.
Young children.
Yeah, children is like, it stops at teenage children, like, then they're teenagers, then they're grown ups. So it's an interesting observation. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it doesn't. Then it's for you to see, when does it not hurt?
When you feel the other person.
When we feel that the other person is...
So you see his needs, his feelings, his suffering.
Exactly. When we see the unhappiness of the other person. But your attachment doesn't want to see that. Your attachment to the self-centeredness thinks that the other person now has a control, that they did it on purpose to hurt you. They don't, same as us. We blurt things out without, when we're tense and then we're not aware of what we're doing. There's no control. These negative emotions give us a lot of energy, and then it kicks body and speech into action, and there's nothing we can do. It's habitual tendencies. Yeah, so like that. The children, why does it hardly, the small ones, why does it not hurt? Because we have pretty pure love for them and no expectations. We're just happy that they're there. I mean, I don't have any children. I guess, yeah? You wanted children, they came, so then you're just happy that they are there. If you don't have any children like me, I am a good example for, even you don't have your own children, you can still be happy. Your life is not finished, okay? Even in this country. What did you want to say?
How you talked about love and condition, And I just want to ask, what about karma and love?
Karma and love. This is what I'm saying. This, when we do something because the other person wants to be happy without any self-interest, I'm not sure if you're asking exactly that, then the energy, the potential that it creates are positive. When we do it out of self-interest, even if it's done unconsciously, you know, we do something for this person that we would not do for somebody else because there's attachment, then it gets mixed karma, kind of. The motivation was not good, because with the action, it is mostly the motivation behind it that determines whether the action becomes positive or negative, not just the action. Does that answer your question? No? Okay. So the opposite of love is wanting others to be unhappy, like being angry at them or hating them. That will be the opposite of love. You're happy when they are unhappy. Your heart is closed, you think they deserve it, and it gives you, it's true, it does give us sometimes some kind of happiness when we see that this person who has cheated with their PhD and now they didn't get it, happens, yeah? And they took it from you on top of it, and you can't prove it, and happens quite a lot, actually. And so then you see that they failed and it wasn't accepted. You're pretty happy about that, isn't it? And it's normal. For us humans, it's absolutely normal. The only thing is, it doesn't make you, it's a perverse kind of happiness. Yeah. But again, the ego said, like the self-centeredness says, good thing they didn't accept it. Yeah. Now if you say, if this one says, if it goes further than that and says, because what he or she did is not right, may they learn from it, and next time write their PhD on their own, then it's pretty pure also, because it's not good for them to be unethical. But usually the self-centeredness doesn't go that far. The self-centeredness is just happy that they failed, and that's it. But again, you know, this is theory. So what I'm telling you here, I mean, that's the highest. Somebody who's very realized who can then react like this. So I'm pretty much at the bottom. But this is where I want to go to. Because I see it will be beneficial for me. Because what does it help if I get angry at somebody when they succeed, even they cheated, and what does it... And it's not the kind of happiness that I would want to have. I think it's perverse to be happy when somebody else fails. But I leave you whatever opinion you want to have about this. You know, we have freedom of speech, we have freedom of opinion, so whatever, when you think, no, it's good to be happy when somebody fails who has cheated, by all means. But it creates negative karma, because they call it negative rejoicing. And it's complex. You know, there's also, when we start discussing karma, has so many features that come into it. And so it has so many parts that play a role: conditions, intentions, motivations, the action itself, and so on. Okay. So this definition means that love in Buddhism refers to something quite different from the ordinary term of love, which is usually about attachment, more or less successful relationships, and sex, all of which are rarely without self-interest. Instead, in Buddhism, it refers to detachment and the unselfish interest in others' welfare. That's a very, 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 very high goal. So again, it's up to you to see, would that be something worthwhile to work for and to develop? So you don't have to tell me, then you have to look inside of yourself. I'm not saying this, you have to do this. I see this as something beneficial and something valuable. Now, whether you see it as well, I don't know. But with relationships, I mean, we can see, you know, when it goes, how much, like at the beginning of a relationship, I had relationship, I mean, I only became a nun when I was 40. At the beginning, it seems as if this is going to last forever, effortlessly, doesn't it? At the beginning. That we will always have this good feeling towards that person, and we will always be tolerant towards his maybe sometimes not smelling so nice, or you know, putting, I don't know, pressing the tube of the toothpaste not at the back but in the middle, and all these stupid things, you know, that people get upset about. We're quite tolerant about all this. But then the thing is, the filter of attachment wears off, and then we start to see the whole picture, and then we think the person has changed. Yeah? And then it's like, again, we blame the other person. I'm unhappy because they have changed. But this is what Lama Yeshe used to say. Somebody changing so much in such a short time, biologically, is totally impossible. From being the object of not wanting to be separated from to somebody, no, thank you very much, goodbye, get lost. Yeah? And when it comes to separation, we can see how much self-interest is there. We don't see it in us, that's for sure, but we definitely see it in the partner, the self-interest. And it goes the other way around, you know? Sometimes when I talk to couples who have a problem with each other, if I wouldn't know that they belong together, I would think they're telling me two totally different stories. Because with him it's her fault, and with her it's his fault. So sometimes when they are in the group, then I kind of weave it in a little bit. And at the end of the talk, sometimes they come and say, "Ah, wow, so good what you said. That's exactly what she needed to hear." And then I say, "Well, did you hear what you needed to hear?" "No, why, what?" Yeah. Like they're sitting there, you know, so happy that now the other person will be transformed. Transformation is very, very difficult, and you need to work at it. It's hard work to transform. First, we need to see advantage, disadvantage, then the interest in wanting to transform, and then doing this very structured practice, which is tedious and boring. It is, I'm sorry to say. Sometimes these mindfulness courses promise you other things. You know, do a bit of mindfulness, watch your breath, in, out, and then you'll be happy, you'll be free of depression, and yeah, it works at the beginning because it's something new, so the mind likes something new. But if you don't keep it up, it won't work. You have to keep it up, and for that you need a group. And then the bigger that your interest, the more your reason of going to this mindfulness class is kind of worthwhile. That, for example, you want to become an ethical person. That's why you want to have awareness to see when negative emotions come up, so that you can refrain from saying something. That is what mindfulness is for, not to be happy. But that doesn't bring in so much money, I'm afraid. Yeah? It's not so appealing, ethical concept. Anyway, so that is love. Compassion. The definition of compassion is wanting others to be free from suffering. The wish. This is what we develop the wish first, so that the wish becomes very genuine and very natural. The same way you have a very natural wish for your children to be happy, and we don't need to work at it. And we have a very natural wish for ourselves to be happy also, I think. Yeah? We don't need to think about this in the morning. So this is the training, that we widen it. Yeah? Not doing anything yet. First transforming the mind. If we go and do things first, and then there's still a lot of self-centeredness, then you want something back. Then you feel hurt when you invested so much time in somebody and then they're not giving you anything back. Yeah? Whereas when the mind is developed, you just do it for no reason whatsoever, because it's our nature. Yeah? Have you ever done a kind act and then you came back and you thought, oh, gosh, I don't know what happened. I really wasn't myself. Do you see what I'm saying? Sometimes I go around three corners. Has it ever happened to you that you were surprisingly very kind, but then, you know, to a friend you go like, oh, I don't know what happened. I wasn't myself. Never. But when we're angry and when we hurt somebody, then we go and say, wow, I wasn't myself. Then we understand this is not our nature. We even say it. Yeah, so there again, the awareness. You take your awareness not just on your cushion, you take it into your daily life, and then you start to see these thoughts and these reactions and what we're thinking and what we're saying. Yeah? And don't worry, we will not become obsessive, kind of, oh, what's happening? Oh, you know, it's like the same way as now we are habitually distracted, we will be habitually aware. And then we're able to adjust and to correct, while the storm has not happened yet. So this compassion happens when one feels empathy with somebody. Empathy means you understand, at least on some intellectual level, what the person is going through. So when I see an addict, I know what they're going through. But we don't need to make all these negative experiences in order to feel empathy. Because we all know, just even without being addicted, how would you feel living in the street? Not having somewhere to shower, not having somewhere to sleep. Wherever you are, you're being chased away. How would you feel? What? Terrible, exactly. I mean, it's not complicated, is it? This Bernie Glassman in New York, they do street retreats so that his disciples feel how it feels. So they go out. They're not allowed to say, "Oh, I'm a meditator. I'm just doing this as an experiment." They have to find out where the soup kitchen is, where they can find some cardboard to sleep on, where they can get some pennies from bottles that they collect or whatever. And then we know what it means. Otherwise it's pity, and this is what comes now. So, if the compassion is wise, it understands that the suffering has causes. And that means the suffering will only stop when the causes stop. And it also means that these causes might have been produced long ago. So that means when you stop creating the causes now, it's the same when I turn the water in here. If I take out the spoon, it still turns. It doesn't mean I stop the causes now, that there's no more causes from the past that will then manifest the suffering. Okay? But it's only compassion actually when one really understands that. As long as the causes are there will be suffering. As long as we have the causes for global warming, there will be global warming. I mean, nobody is so stupid just hoping that it will stop. We all know, as long as we produce the causes, it will continue. No? So that's it. When we stop the causes also, it's not going to drop next year. It will take a while. So it's the same for all other kind of suffering. But you're much more relaxed. Unless you're again very self-centered and you hate all the people who are kind of creating these causes, but we are all in it. We are all creating the causes for global warming because of our attachment to comfort. All of us. Even coming up here by car. Yeah, so then at least make the coming up here, make your journeys worthwhile. And that's very worthwhile. You go on a retreat about forgiving and about loving kindness, developing a good heart. So at least it has a so-called good reason. Just going for pleasure, what many people do, is like, it's no... And then they come home grumpy in general, At least when you go back home, from especially a full retreat like this, you'll be so happy to have your own bed, your own shower, your own food. You'll be really happy to be back home. Whereas if you've been on a very nice holiday, you don't want to go home. Yeah? And very often when people tell me about their holiday, they complain about something that wasn't too expensive or they got sick. Many people get sick on their holiday because also the medical systems are not so great and whatever. So, yeah. So like this, so we're all in it. Don't get angry at other people who do it. It's no point, but you can start, and we can start small. And I know it's really just a drop on a hot stone, but it is a drop on a hot stone. Yeah, like buying local, for example, instead of buying all these exclusive things. I mean, you're so lucky here in Israel. You have locally grown pineapple, mango, all the vegetables and everything. It's great. Even bananas you have.